The leather check folder hit the white tablecloth with a soft thud, and I knew before opening it that the number would make my stomach clench. 8 people, upscale fusion restaurant, 3 bottles of wine I didn't drink, appetizers I didn't order. The kind of dinner that costs more than some people make in a week. Griffin. Sybil's voice cut through the ambient chatter, bright and performative. Everyone, this is Griffin. He's just a friend with a car. The table went silent. 8 faces turned toward me, some confused, others suddenly uncomfortable. Miles, her creative director colleague, smirked into his wine glass. Tara, Sybil's supposed best friend, looked away entirely. Just a friend with a car. I'd been married to this woman for 4 years. I'd paid for her graduate degree in marketing. I'd covered her rent for 3 years while she built her career. I'd handed over my credit card for this very dinner celebration of her promotion, a promotion at an agency where I'd networked to get her the interview, and now I was just a friend with a car. Why would you say that? I asked quietly, my voice steady despite the heat rising in my chest. Sybil's smile never wavered. She looked around the table, then back at me with those cold blue eyes I'd once found mesmerizing. You're lucky I invited you at all. The words hit like a physical blow. Around us, conversations resumed in awkward whispers. Someone's fork clinked against their plate. Miles whispered something to the woman beside him, and she giggled. I pulled my keys from my pocket, the keys to the car that was in my name, insured under my policy, paid for with my money. The keys to the apartment I'd co-signed for, in the building where I'd put down the security deposit. Enjoy your celebration, I said, standing. I placed the keys next to the untouched check. Call an Uber. I walked out without looking back, past the hostess station, past the valet, into the cool October night. My phone buzzed twice before I reached the corner. I didn't look at it. 3 years. I sat in my home office at 2 a.m., surrounded by bank statements, credit card bills, and receipts I'd kept out of habit more than planning. Sybil always called me obsessively organized, usually with an eye roll. Tonight, that obsession felt like providence. The numbers told a story that would make anyone's head spin. $74,832. That's what I'd spent on Sybil's life over 3 years. Not our life, her life. Graduate school tuition, $28,000. I'd written the checks while she told everyone she'd received a partial scholarship. The scholarship was my checking account. Rent on her downtown apartment, $31,200. She'd insisted we maintain separate places until after her graduation. I'd agreed, thinking it was temporary. She told her friends she was house-sitting for a family friend. Credit card payments, $15,632. Designer clothes for networking events, expensive dinners with colleagues, spa days for stress management. All on cards I'd added her to, all paid from my IT consulting income. I pulled up our joint checking account on my laptop. Sybil's direct deposits covered maybe 30% of her actual expenses. The rest came from me, always with some story about cash flow or timing or investment opportunities that never materialized. My phone buzzed again. Sybil's name flashed on the screen. I let it go to voicemail, then another, then another. Finally, I listened. Griffin, what the hell was that? You embarrassed me in front of my colleagues. Call me back. Beep. Seriously, you're being ridiculous. It was a joke. Call me. Beep. Fine. Be a child. But you left me stranded downtown. Thanks for nothing. I deleted all 3 messages and opened my laptop. First, I logged into our apartment lease portal. As the primary leaseholder, I had the right to remove authorized occupants. 1 click, and Sybil's access was revoked. The system automatically generated an email notification to her account. Next, the credit cards. I called each company, explained that I needed to remove an authorized user immediately. Relationship change, I told them. They were surprisingly accommodating at 2 a.m. Car insurance took longer, but by 3 a.m., Sybil was no longer covered under my policy. The Honda Civic she'd been driving, technically my car since I'd co-signed the loan, would need to be returned. My phone rang. Sybil's name again. Hello, I answered. What did you do? Her voice was sharp, panicked. I can't get into the apartment portal, and my credit card was declined at the pharmacy. I removed you from accounts where I'm the primary holder. You can't do that. My stuff is in that apartment. You have until the end of the month. After that, anything left becomes property of the building management. Griffin, this is insane. Over a stupid comment at dinner? I looked at the spreadsheet on my screen, at 3 years of financial records that told the story of a relationship I'd apparently been having by myself. It wasn't stupid to me. Look, I'm sorry, okay? I didn't mean it like that. People were asking questions about us, and I just... What kind of questions? Silence. Sybil, what kind of questions were people asking about us? It doesn't matter. The point is, you're overreacting. We can fix this. No, I said. We can't. The car needs to be returned by Friday. It's in the parking garage downtown, level 3. I'll leave the spare key with the building security. I hung up and turned off my phone. 2 weeks later, I was debugging code for a client when my doorbell rang. Through the peephole, I saw a woman in her 60s, gray hair pulled back, eyes red from crying. It took me a moment to recognize Denise, Sybil's mother. I hadn't seen her in over a year. Sybil always had excuses for why we couldn't visit her parents in Cleveland, too busy with school, work conflicts, car trouble. Now I wondered if the real reason was that Denise might ask uncomfortable questions about how her daughter afforded her lifestyle. Mrs. Patterson, I said, opening the door. This is unexpected. Griffin, please, I need to talk to you. She held up an envelope with the familiar letterhead of Sybil's apartment complex. She got an eviction notice. She called me crying, said you'd abandoned her, that she doesn't understand what happened. I stepped aside to let her in. Denise had always been kind to me, one of those mothers who still believed in marriage as a sacred commitment, who sent anniversary cards and asked about grandchildren. Would you like some coffee? I just need to understand. She sat on my couch, clutching the eviction notice. Sybil said you had a fight at dinner, but people fight. Married people work things out. She said she can't afford the rent without your help. But I don't understand why you were paying her rent in the first place. Don't you live together? I went to my office and returned with a manila folder. 3 years of documentation, organized chronologically. Bank statements, canceled checks, credit card bills, receipts. We never lived together, Mrs. Patterson. I paid for a separate apartment for her while she finished school. Denise's eyebrows rose. But she told me she had a scholarship. Academic merit, she said. Full tuition. I handed her the first set of documents. These are the tuition payments. $28,000 over 2 years, all from my accounts. She stared at the papers, her face growing pale. I don't understand. She said she was getting financial aid. She was, from me. I showed her the rent payments, the credit card statements, the insurance payments. Sybil's income from her part-time job covered about 30% of her actual expenses. I covered the rest. But why wouldn't she tell us? Her father and I, we would have helped if we'd known she was struggling. Because she wasn't struggling. Look at these credit card statements. Designer clothes, expensive restaurants, spa treatments. She wasn't living like a broke graduate student. She was living like someone with a 6-figure income. Denise flipped through the pages, her hands shaking slightly. These charges, this restaurant bill is $300. This shopping trip is $800. Griffin, we had no idea. She told people she was house-sitting. She told people she had a scholarship. She told people a lot of things that weren't true. But you're married, surely? 2 weeks ago, at a dinner I paid for, she introduced me to her colleagues as just a friend with a car. When I asked her why, she said I was lucky she'd invited me at all. The words hung in the air. Denise stared at me, then at the papers in her lap. A friend with a car, she repeated quietly. I've supported her for 3 years while she built her career. I believed we were building a life together. Apparently, I was just transportation. Denise was crying now, quiet tears that she wiped away with the back of her hand. She called me yesterday, asked if we could send money for the rent, $2,000, said it was temporary just until she got back on her feet. Her feet were never on the ground, Mrs. Patterson. I was carrying her. I told her we'd try to help, but $2,000. Her father's retired, we're on a fixed income. We were going to take out a loan against the house. The thought of these decent people mortgaging their retirement to enable their daughter's lies made my stomach turn. Don't do that, I said. Please, this isn't your responsibility. But she's our daughter. We can't just let her be homeless. She's not going to be homeless. She has a job, a good one. She can get a smaller apartment, live within her means like everyone else. She just can't live like a millionaire on an entry-level salary anymore. Denise looked at the eviction notice again. She said you changed the locks out of spite, that you were trying to punish her for something small. I removed her from the lease because I'm no longer willing to subsidize her lifestyle. The locks weren't changed. Her access was revoked because she's no longer a legal tenant. We sat in silence for several minutes. Denise studied the financial documents, occasionally shaking her head or making small sounds of disbelief. 3 years, she finally said. 3 years of lies. I'm sorry you had to find out this way. Are you? She looked at me directly. Are you sorry or are you angry? It was a fair question. Both. She's made mistakes, but she's still my daughter. Is there any way? No. I took the papers back, returned them to the folder. I'm done, Mrs. Patterson. I'm sorry if that hurts you, but I can't continue living a lie. She nodded slowly, understanding, if not accepting. What should I tell her father? Tell him the truth? Show him these numbers if you want. But don't take out a loan. Don't enable this. She needs to learn to live in reality. Denise left 20 minutes later, walking slowly to her car like a woman who'd aged years in a single afternoon. I watched from my window as she sat in her driveway for nearly 10 minutes before starting the engine. My phone had 17 missed calls from Sybil. I deleted them all without listening. The first sign that word was spreading came 3 days later. Marcus, a mutual friend from Sybil's graduate program, called me directly. Dude, what the hell happened at that dinner? What did you hear? Tara's telling everyone that Sybil introduced you as her Uber driver or something, said it was brutal to watch. Tara. Sybil's supposed best friend, the one who'd looked away when the whole table went silent. The same Tara who'd been at every dinner I'd paid for, every event I'd funded, every celebration of Sybil's achievements that I'd made possible. She introduced me as a friend with a car. Jesus, why would she do that? You'd have to ask her. I mean, everyone knows you guys are married. It doesn't make sense. Apparently not everyone knew. There was a pause. Wait, what do you mean? How long have you known Sybil was married, Marcus? She mentioned it when we started the program. Said her husband was supportive of her going back to school. Did she mention that her husband was paying for school? Another pause, longer this time. She said she had financial aid. She did. It was called my checking account. Griffin, I don't understand what you're saying. So I told him. Not everything, but enough. The tuition payments, the rent, the lifestyle that didn't match her income. Marcus listened without interrupting, and I could hear his worldview shifting in real time. Holy shit, he said finally. We had no idea. Who's we? The study group. Me, Jennifer, David, Tara. We always wondered how Sybil could afford that apartment and all the designer stuff on a part-time salary, but she said she was good with money. Said she'd learned to budget from her husband. I almost laughed. She learned to budget my money, apparently. This is insane. Does Tara know? Tara knows more than she's letting on. That evening, Jennifer called. Then David. By the weekend, I'd had conversations with 6 people from Sybil's social circle, all asking variations of the same questions. The story was spreading, mutating as it traveled, but the core facts remained consistent. Sybil had been living a lie, and I'd been funding it. The most revealing call came from Amy, a woman from Sybil's networking group. Griffin, I feel terrible about this, but I think you should know. Last month, Sybil told us she was thinking about divorce. She said you were holding her back professionally, that you didn't understand her ambitions. She said that? She made it sound like you were threatened by her success. Said you kept trying to control her finances. The irony was breathtaking. I'd been controlling her finances by paying for everything while she complained that I didn't understand her ambitions. Amy, can I ask you something? Did Sybil ever mention how she afforded her lifestyle? She said she was good at managing money. Said she'd learned investment strategies that helped stretch her income. Investment strategies. That's what she said. Why? I didn't answer directly. If someone asked you to guess Sybil's annual income based on how she lives, what would you say? I don't know, maybe 70 or 80,000. Her apartment alone must be 2,000 a month, and she's always wearing designer clothes, driving that nice car. She makes 36,000 a year, Amy, part-time at the agency. Silence. That's impossible. Check her LinkedIn, it's all there. Then how does she afford? She doesn't. I do, or did, for 3 years. The conversation ended shortly after that, but I knew Amy would make calls of her own. By Monday, Sybil's entire social network would know the truth about her finances. My phone rang constantly that weekend. Sybil calling from different numbers when I blocked her primary line. Her mother asking if I'd reconsider. Even Miles, the creative director who'd smirked at the dinner, calling to clear the air. I answered that one. Griffin, hey, this is Miles from the agency. Listen, I think there's been some misunderstanding about the other night. What kind of misunderstanding? Sybil's really upset. She says you're telling people things about her finances that aren't true. What did she tell you I was saying? That you're claiming you paid for her school and stuff? But that doesn't make sense because she told us she had academic scholarships. Did she show you the scholarship letters? Well, no, but why would she lie about that? Miles, I'm going to ask you a direct question, and I'd appreciate a direct answer. Are you sleeping with my wife? The line went quiet for so long I thought he'd hung up. That's not what this is about. So that's a yes. Griffin, look, things between you and Sybil were already over. She told me you guys were separated, that you were just friends helping each other out financially. Friends helping each other out financially. The hits kept coming. When did this start, Miles? I don't think that's... When? 6 months ago. But she said you knew. She said it was mutual, that you were both seeing other people. I hung up. 6 months. While I was paying her rent, her credit cards, her car insurance, she was telling her lover that we were separated friends with a financial arrangement. While I was believing we were building a future together, she was building a future with someone else using my money. Tuesday morning, I drove to Sybil's workplace. The agency occupied 2 floors of a converted warehouse downtown, all exposed brick and industrial lighting, the kind of space that screamed creative professionals to people who needed their environment to validate their career choices. I waited in the parking garage until I saw Miles arrive in his BMW. He looked exactly like what Central Casting would order for smug creative director: designer jeans, expensive sneakers, hair that probably cost more to maintain than most people's car payments. Miles, I called as he walked toward the elevator. He turned, and I saw the moment he recognized me. His confident stride faltered. Griffin, what are you doing here? We need to finish our conversation. I don't think that's a good idea. Maybe we should... 6 months, I said, walking closer. You've been sleeping with my wife for 6 months while I paid her bills. Look, I didn't know the situation was complicated. Sybil said a lot of things that weren't true, but you knew she was married. You met me at that dinner. She introduced you as a friend? Because she was lying. To you, to me, to everyone. Miles glanced around the parking garage, probably hoping someone else would appear. We were alone. What do you want, Griffin? I want you to understand something. Every time you took her to dinner, I paid for her outfit. Every time you went to her apartment, I paid the rent. Every time she impressed you with her sophistication and success, you were looking at my money. That's not my fault? No, it's not. But it's pathetic. You're 42 years old, and you've been dating a woman who was essentially my financial dependent while she lied to both of us about the nature of our relationship. His face was red now. You don't know what you're talking about. I know exactly what I'm talking about. I have 3 years of bank records that show every dollar I spent on her life. I have credit card statements that show every expensive dinner, every shopping trip, every luxury that made her seem like someone worth pursuing. She's not with you anymore. Deal with it. You're right. She's not with me anymore, but she's also not the person you think she is. She's a liar who's been living beyond her means on someone else's money, and now that someone else is gone. I started to walk away, then turned back. Oh, and Miles, you might want to check her credit report before you move in together. She's about to have an eviction on her record. I left him standing there, probably wondering how much of what he thought he knew about Sybil was real. Upstairs, I asked the receptionist to speak with Sybil privately. She came out to the lobby 5 minutes later, looking tired and angry. What are you doing here? We need to talk. I'm at work, Griffin. This is inappropriate. So, was introducing me as a friend with a car at a dinner I paid for. She looked around the lobby, aware that her colleagues could overhear. Can we please do this somewhere else? No, we're going to do this right here, right now. Fine. What do you want? I want you to stop telling people that I'm lying about our finances. You are lying. You're making me sound like some kind of gold digger. I'm not making you sound like anything. I'm telling people the truth about where your money came from. It's not that simple. It's exactly that simple. I paid for your life. You told everyone you were independent. You lied. I never asked you to pay for anything. The audacity was stunning. You never asked? Sybil, you handed me bills. You put expenses on credit cards in my name. You asked me to co-sign your lease. That's different. How is that different? Because we were together. Couples help each other. Were we together when you started sleeping with Miles 6 months ago? Her face went white. Who told you that? He did. Last night. Apparently you told him we were separated and that I was just a friend helping you out financially. Griffin, please, can we talk about this privately? No, I'm tired of private conversations that you turn into public lies. You want to have this discussion at your workplace? Fine, let's discuss it. You're being cruel. I'm being honest. For the first time in our relationship, I'm being completely honest. What do you want from me? Nothing. I don't want anything from you. I want you to stop calling me. I want you to stop having your mother call me. I want you to stop telling people that I'm lying about our finances. But you need to figure out how to live on your own income. You need to find an apartment you can actually afford. You need to stop pretending to be someone you're not. I can't afford anything decent on what I make. Then make more money, get a full-time job, get a roommate, do what everyone else does when their expenses exceed their income. It's not that easy. It's exactly that easy. You just don't want to do it because you've gotten used to living like someone who makes 3 times what you actually make. Sybil was crying now, but quietly, trying not to make a scene. I made a mistake at that dinner. I was nervous, and I said something stupid, but this is extreme, Griffin. You're destroying my life over a comment. I'm not destroying your life. I'm just not funding it anymore. Same thing. And there it was. The truth she'd finally admitted. In her mind, my money and her life were the same thing. Without my financial support, she couldn't maintain the persona she'd created. Then maybe you should have thought about that before you introduced me as a friend with a car. I walked away, leaving her standing in her agency's lobby, probably wondering how much her colleagues had overheard. 3 weeks after the dinner, I got a call from David, one of Sybil's former classmates. Griffin, I thought you should know. Sybil's been asking people for money. What kind of people? Everyone. The study group, people from her networking events, even some of the professors. She's telling different stories to different people. What kind of stories? She told me you cleaned out your joint accounts and left her with nothing. She told Jennifer that you were abusive and she needed money to escape. She told Professor Martinez that she had a family emergency and needed to borrow tuition money. The lies were escalating, becoming more desperate and more damaging. How much is she asking for? Depends on who she's talking to. She asked me for $500. Asked Jennifer for $1,000. I heard she asked Martinez for $3,000. Is anyone giving her money? A few people gave her small amounts before word got around about the real situation. But now that people know the truth about her finances, most of us are staying away. What do you mean, word got around? Tara's been talking. A lot. She's telling everyone that Sybil's been lying about everything for years. Her scholarship, her income, even her relationship status. Apparently Tara knew about Miles months ago. Tara, the best friend who'd looked away at the dinner, who'd been at every event I'd funded, who'd watched me pay for meals while knowing Sybil was cheating. David, can I ask you something? What exactly has Tara been saying? She's saying that Sybil used you, that she never intended to build a real life with you, that she was just using your money while she looked for someone better. She's making it sound like the whole marriage was a scam. And what do you think? Honestly, I think Tara's probably right, but I also think she's enjoying this too much, like she's been waiting for Sybil to fall. That evening, Tara called me directly. Griffin, it's Tara. I think we should talk. About what? About Sybil. About what really happened. I know what happened. No, you don't. Not all of it. We met at a coffee shop near the university. Tara looked different than she had at the dinner, less polished, more nervous. I owe you an apology, she said immediately. For what? For not telling you about Miles. I knew about the affair for months. Why didn't you say anything? Because I thought you knew. Sybil told me you guys had an arrangement, that you were staying married for financial reasons, but seeing other people. The same lie she'd told Miles. Did you believe that? At first. But then I started noticing things that didn't add up. What kind of things? The way she talked about you. She'd complain about you being controlling or demanding, but then she'd mention things that didn't sound controlling at all. Like how you'd given her your credit card for emergency expenses, or how you'd co-signed her lease so she could get a better apartment. Those sound controlling to you? They sound generous. Too generous for someone who was supposedly just a financial arrangement. Tara stirred her coffee nervously. Griffin, I need to tell you something else. Something that's going to make you angry. More angry than I already am? Probably. Sybil's been planning to leave you for over a year. Not for Miles specifically, but she's been looking for someone with more money, better connections. She called it trading up. The words hit like a physical blow. She said that? Multiple times. She said you were a stepping stone, that once she established her career, she'd find someone more appropriate for her new social level. And you didn't think I deserved to know this? I thought about it, but Sybil's been my friend since college. I figured it wasn't my place to interfere in your marriage. But it was your place to watch her humiliate me at dinner? Tara's face reddened. That was different. I didn't expect her to be so blatant about it. So you knew she was planning to dump me, but you drew the line at public humiliation? I'm sorry. I should have said something earlier. Why are you telling me now? Because she's been calling me, asking for money, and when I said no, she started threatening me. Threatening you how? She said she'd tell people at work that I knew about her affair and didn't report it. She works in HR, Griffin. If word got out that I knew about an office affair and stayed quiet, I could lose my job. So Tara's sudden conscience wasn't about guilt. It was about self-preservation. What do you want from me? I want you to know that whatever you're planning to do, I won't get in your way. Sybil made her choices. She can live with the consequences. I'm not planning to do anything. I already did it. I stopped paying for her life. That's not enough. What do you mean? She's telling people you're the villain in this story. She's making herself out to be the victim of an abusive, controlling husband. People who don't know the real situation are starting to believe her. Let them believe her. You don't understand. She's not just lying about your marriage. She's lying about her qualifications at work. I think she faked some of her references to get the job at the agency. How do you know that? Because I was one of her references. She asked me to pretend I was her supervisor at a marketing firm in Chicago. Said it was just to fill a gap in her resume, that everyone does it. And you agreed? It was 2 years ago. I thought it was harmless. Did she get the job based on that fake reference? Partly, yeah. And now she's up for a promotion to senior account manager. If they find out she lied on her application, she'll be fired. And possibly blacklisted from the industry. We sat in silence for several minutes. Tara was offering me ammunition, but I wasn't sure why. What do you want me to do with this information? Whatever you think is right. Why should I trust you? You've been lying for her for years. Because I'm tired of it. Because she's been using all of us, not just you, and because she's about to throw me under the bus to save herself. So this is about self-preservation. Yes, but that doesn't make the information less true. She was right. Whatever Tara's motivations, the facts were the facts. Sybil had built her entire adult life on lies, and those lies were finally catching up with her. I'll think about it, I said. Don't think too long. Her promotion review is next week. I spent the weekend thinking about Tara's information. Part of me wanted to walk away, to let Sybil's lies collapse on their own. But another part of me, the part that had been humiliated in front of 8 people at a dinner I'd paid for, wanted justice. On Monday morning, I called the agency's main number and asked to speak with someone in human resources about a reference verification. This is regarding Sybil Patterson, I told the HR representative. I understand she's listed a previous employer that may not be accurate. Are you a former employer? No, I'm her husband, and I have reason to believe she falsified information on her job application. There was a pause. Sir, we can't discuss employee records with family members. I understand. But I think you should know that the marketing firm she claims to have worked for in Chicago doesn't exist, and the supervisor she listed as a reference is actually a personal friend who never worked in marketing. That's a serious accusation. It's a serious situation. I'm not asking you to discuss her records with me. I'm asking you to verify the information she provided. We'll look into it. Thank you. I hung up and immediately called Tara. I made the call, I told her. To HR? Yes. I told them to verify her Chicago reference. Griffin, you know this will probably cost her the job. Yes. And you're okay with that? She introduced me as a friend with a car at a dinner I paid for, then told her lover that we were separated while I was still paying her bills. She's been planning to leave me for over a year while spending my money. She's been lying to everyone about everything, so yes, I'm okay with it. What if she finds out it was you? She'll find out. I'm going to tell her. Why? Because I want her to know that actions have consequences. I want her to understand that you can't treat people like disposable resources and expect no retaliation. This is going to destroy her. No, her lies are going to destroy her. I'm just making sure the truth comes out. That afternoon, Sybil called me from a number I didn't recognize. What did you do? She screamed before I could say hello. I told the truth. They're investigating my references. They could fire me. They should fire you. You lied on your application. Everyone lies on job applications. No, they don't. Most people tell the truth because they understand that lies eventually catch up with you. This is revenge. You're trying to ruin my life because I hurt your feelings. I'm correcting false information. If that ruins your life, maybe you should have thought about that before you built your life on false information. Griffin, please. I'm sorry about the dinner. I'm sorry about Miles. I'll make it right. How? I'll tell everyone the truth. I'll explain that you supported me, that I couldn't have done any of this without you. It's too late for that. It's not too late. We can fix this. There's no we anymore, Sybil. You made sure of that when you introduced me as a friend with a car. That was a mistake. No, that was the truth. That's all I ever was to you, a friend with a car and a credit card. Someone useful until you found someone better. That's not true. It's exactly true. Tara told me about your plan to trade up. She told me you've been looking for someone with more money and better connections for over a year. Silence. Sybil? Tara had no right to tell you that. So it's true. It's complicated. It's simple. You used me, you lied to me, you humiliated me, and now you're facing the consequences. I need this job, Griffin. Without it, I have nothing. You should have thought about that before you risked it by lying on your application. Please, I'm begging you, call them back. Tell them it was a misunderstanding. No. Then I'll lose everything. You'll lose the things you couldn't afford anyway. Maybe that's not such a bad thing. I hung up and blocked her number. 2 days later, Marcus called to tell me that Sybil had been terminated from the agency. The HR investigation had revealed not only the fake reference, but also discrepancies in her educational credentials and work history. She's telling people you orchestrated the whole thing, he said. I just made a phone call. Her lies did the rest. She's pretty much persona non grata in the program now. People are wondering what else she lied about. Probably a lot. Griffin, can I ask you something? Sure. Do you feel bad about this? I mean, her whole life just imploded. I thought about it. I feel bad that it came to this, but I don't feel bad about my role in it. She made choices, and choices have consequences. Fair enough. Marcus, can I ask you something? Yeah. If someone treated you the way Sybil treated me, what would you have done? Honestly, probably the same thing, maybe worse. Then we understand each other. 6 weeks after the dinner, I was cleaning out my home office when I found a card Sybil had given me for our 2nd anniversary. The front showed 2 figures walking hand in hand toward a sunset. Inside, she'd written, "Thank you for believing in our future together. I love you more every day." I'd believed in our future. I'd invested in it financially and emotionally for 3 years. I'd sacrificed my own goals to support hers, thinking we were building something together. The card felt like evidence of a crime, proof of how thoroughly I'd been deceived. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "This is Denise, Sybil's mother. Please call me." I almost deleted it, but something made me dial the number. "Griffin, thank you for calling." "How is she?" I asked, though I wasn't sure why. "Not good. She had to move back home. She can't find work. Apparently word has gotten around in her industry." "I'm sorry to hear that." "Are you? Really?" "I'm sorry that it came to this. I'm not sorry that she's facing consequences for her actions. She made mistakes, but this seems extreme. Mrs. Patterson, with respect, I don't think you understand the scope of her mistakes. She didn't just lie to me. She lied to everyone. Her employers, her friends, her family. She built an entire identity based on deception. But she's lost everything. She lost things she couldn't afford and a job she got through fraud. Those weren't really hers to begin with. What about your marriage? Doesn't that mean anything? It meant everything to me. That's why this hurts so much. There was a long pause. She wants to talk to you. I don't want to talk to her. She says she has something important to tell you. She's had 3 years to tell me important things. She chose to lie instead. Griffin, please, just 5 minutes. Against my better judgment, I agreed. Sybil's voice was smaller than I remembered, tired and defeated. Griffin, I need you to know that I never meant for things to go this far. What did you mean? I meant to tell you about Miles. I was going to ask for a divorce after I got the promotion. So you were planning to leave me? Yes, but I was going to make sure you were okay financially. I was going to pay you back. With what money? The promotion came with a big raise. I was going to use that to repay what you'd spent on me. Over how many years? I don't know, as long as it took. Sybil, you owed me almost $75,000. Even with a promotion, that would have taken you decades to repay. I would have found a way. You would have found a way to avoid it, just like you avoided telling me the truth about everything else. That's not fair. What's not fair is being introduced as a friend with a car at a dinner I paid for. What's not fair is supporting someone for 3 years while they plan to leave you. What's not fair is finding out from your lover that you told him we were separated. I know I hurt you. You didn't hurt me, Sybil. You betrayed me. There's a difference. Can you ever forgive me? I can forgive you, but I can't trust you, and I can't be with someone I can't trust. What if I could prove that I've changed? How would you do that? I don't know, but I'd find a way. The time to prove you could be honest was during our marriage. You chose deception instead. I was scared. Of what? Of not being good enough. Of you realizing that I wasn't worth the investment. So you lied to make yourself seem worth it? I guess. Sybil, the lies are what made you not worth it. If you'd been honest from the beginning, we might have found a way to make it work. Do you really believe that? I thought about it. I don't know, but we'll never find out now, will we? I'm sorry, Griffin. I'm truly, deeply sorry. I know you are, but sorry doesn't undo 3 years of lies. What happens now? Now you figure out how to build a life based on truth instead of deception, and I do the same. Will you ever think about me? I'll try not to. I love you. No, you don't. You love what I provided. There's a difference. I hung up and immediately blocked that number too. 3 months later, I was having coffee with Marcus when he brought up Sybil unexpectedly. I saw her last week, he said. How is she? Different. She got a job at a small marketing firm in Cleveland. Entry level, about half what she was making at the agency. Good for her. She asked about you. What did you tell her? That you seem to be doing well, that you're dating someone new? I wasn't dating anyone new, but I didn't correct him. She said she understood why you did what you did, said she deserved it. That's progress, I guess. Griffin, can I ask you something personal? Sure. Do you miss her? I mean, the good parts of your relationship? It was a fair question. I miss who I thought she was, but that person never really existed. That's got to be hard to accept. It is, but it's better than living a lie. Do you think she's really changed? I hope so, for her sake, but it doesn't matter to me anymore. You sound like you've made peace with it. I have. She taught me something valuable. What's that? That when someone shows you who they really are, you should believe them the first time. She showed you at that dinner. She'd been showing me for years. I just wasn't paying attention. We sat in comfortable silence for a few minutes, watching people walk by on the street outside. Marcus, can I tell you something? Of course. I don't regret what I did. Not the financial stuff, not the phone call to her employer, not walking away. For the first time in years, I feel like I'm living authentically. That's important. It is. I spent 3 years being someone else's financial safety net while she pretended I was just a friend with a car. Now I'm just myself again. And that's enough? It's everything. That evening, I was going through old photos on my computer, deleting pictures of Sybil and our life together, when I found one that made me pause. It was from our wedding day. Small ceremony, just family and a few friends. In the photo, Sybil was looking at me with what I'd interpreted as love, but now recognized as something else. Relief, maybe, or satisfaction at having secured her financial future. I deleted the photo and emptied the trash. My phone rang. Unknown number, but I recognized the area code. Cleveland, where Sybil was living with her parents. Hello? Griffin, it's me. Sybil, I thought I made it clear. Please, just listen. I'm not calling to ask for anything. I just wanted you to know that I understand now. Understand what? What I did to you, what I took from you. It wasn't just money? What was it? Your trust, your faith in people, your belief that the person you loved actually existed. I didn't respond. I know you'll probably never forgive me, and I don't blame you. But I want you to know that I'm trying to become the person you thought you were married to. Why? Because she was better than who I actually was, and because you deserved her. Sybil, I'm not asking for another chance. I know that's impossible. I just wanted you to know that your investment in me wasn't completely wasted. Some of it stuck. I hope that's true. It is, I promise. Your promises don't mean much to me anymore. I know, but I had to try. After she hung up, I sat in my quiet house, thinking about promises and trust, and the difference between who people are and who they pretend to be. Sybil might be trying to change, but it didn't matter to me anymore. I'd learned to build a life that didn't require anyone else's honesty but my own. 6 months after the dinner that changed everything, I was exactly where I needed to be. Free from lies, free from deception, free from the exhausting work of loving someone who saw me as nothing more than a friend with a car.